I've been with my wife Lauren for 9 years, and in all that time, I never thought I'd become invisible to her. But that's exactly how I felt the night of my company's annual holiday party. A night I'd been quietly excited about because it meant she'd finally meet the people I spend most of my days with. I thought we'd walk in hand, laugh with my coworkers, maybe sneak outside for a moment alone under the lights strung across the courtyard. Instead, I walked into a room full of strangers and realized my wife was treating me like one of them. The night started off odd, but not alarming. Lauren spent more time getting ready than usual, fussing with her hair, changing earrings twice, then settling on a pair I'd never seen before, thin rose gold hoops. She said they were professional but playful. I didn't think much of it. I kissed her shoulder, told her she looked beautiful, and she gave me a distracted smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. We arrived at the event center in downtown Denver around 7. The place was warm and glowing, filled with chatter and champagne, and the soft hum of a jazz trio hired for the night. I placed my hand gently at the small of Lauren's back as we stepped in, but she shifted away subtly, like she didn't want to be touched. "Let's grab a drink," I said. "You go ahead," she replied. "I need to find someone." "Who?" She was already walking off. That was the first sign something was wrong. I tried brushing it off. I mingled a bit, shook hands with a few colleagues, laughed at a joke someone made about our department holiday bonuses. But the entire time I kept scanning the room for Lauren, wondering who she had been so eager to find. I eventually spotted her near the catering station. She was standing with Ryan, one of the senior project directors at the company, polished, charming, the kind of guy people instinctively lean toward in conversation. I walked over, expecting to be introduced. Instead, Lauren's face tightened the moment she saw me. "Oh, Ethan," she said, her tone flat. Then, turning quickly to Ryan, "This is my husband." "My husband?" As if I were an afterthought. As if the word tasted sour in her mouth. Ryan gave me a polite nod. "Good to finally meet you, Ethan. Lauren's had nothing but kind things to say about you." I smiled stiffly. I'd hope so. But she didn't smile back. She didn't even look at me. For the next 15 minutes, I stood there awkwardly as the two of them talked about some marketing conference he had attended last month. Lauren laughed at things that weren't funny, nodded eagerly at every detail he gave. And every time I tried to add something, anything, she cut me off or redirected the conversation. At one point, I lightly touched her elbow, just trying to get her attention. She pulled away instantly. "Not now, Ethan," she hissed under her breath. "Please don't be clingy tonight." "Clingy?" I stepped back like she had slapped me. Ryan raised an eyebrow, trying and failing to pretend he hadn't heard it. "I should, grab another drink," he murmured before slipping away. That left Lauren and me standing there in the middle of the ballroom, the air suddenly colder around us. "What was that?" I asked quietly. She sighed, exasperated, as if I were the problem. "Can you not do this here?" "Do what?" "Make things awkward." I stared at her, trying to understand how simply existing next to my own wife was making things awkward. "Lauren, why are you acting like this?" She looked away, jaw tight. "I'm just trying to make a good impression tonight. This is important for your job. I don't want you to look unprofessional by pretending I'm not your husband." She didn't answer. She just brushed past me and joined a group near the dessert table, laughing too loud at something someone said. I stood alone for a long time, feeling like a piece of furniture she didn't want to claim ownership of. Later in the evening, I saw her again with Ryan, standing close, talking quietly, her hand resting lightly on her hip in a way I hadn't seen in years. I felt something twist inside my chest. Not jealousy, not yet. Just a sinking heaviness. A sense that something had shifted without me noticing. When she saw me watching, she looked irritated, like I had interrupted something. And that's when it happened. The moment that changed the entire night and our marriage. She leaned into Ryan slightly and said, loud enough for me to hear, "I'm sorry about him. He gets insecure sometimes." I froze and she saw me freeze. Her expression didn't change. It was then I realized something was deeply, painfully wrong. I stood there for a moment, unsure if I'd heard her correctly. Insecure. I'd been called many things over the years, quiet, thoughtful, a bit too patient. But insecure had never been one of them. And even if it were true, hearing my wife announce it to her boss like it was some quirky character flaw made something inside me quietly snap. I didn't confront her right then. I didn't storm over or demand an explanation. I just turned and walked toward the far side of the ballroom, letting the jazz music swallow up the noise around me. I stood near the window watching the rain tap lightly against the glass. It felt like the kind of night where something breaks. Not with a bang but with a quiet final crack. A few minutes later Sarah, a coworker I barely knew outside of work meetings, approached me with 2 glasses of sparkling cider. "You look like you need this," she said gently, offering one. I took it with a small nod. "That obvious?" She smiled sadly. "Let's just say the room has eyes and ears." I let out a breath. I don't know what's going on. She's never acted like this. Sarah hesitated before speaking. "Can I tell you something?" "I wasn't going to, but maybe you should know." She lowered her voice. "Your wife, she's been meeting with Ryan a lot. He mentioned it earlier like it was normal. Apparently they've had coffee a few times. Talked about possible career ideas she has." My stomach tightened. Career ideas? She hasn't mentioned anything to me. "That's why I'm telling you," Sarah said softly. It didn't feel right. I thanked her, but my thoughts were already running far ahead, connecting dots I didn't want to see forming a picture. The earrings, the new perfume, the distance, the sudden interest in a department she used to call boring. And tonight, this strange, cold version of her. I didn't want to believe it, but something had clearly shifted. After a while, I returned to the ballroom. I didn't approach Lauren immediately. I just watched her from a few steps away as she talked in that bright, performative tone I'd never heard her use around me to a group of executives. She looked polished, confident, almost like she'd reinvented herself for an audience that didn't include me. When her eyes eventually met mine, something flickered in her expression. Guilt? Annoyance? I couldn't tell. She excused herself from the group and walked over, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. "Can we please not do this tonight, Ethan? You're making things weird." "I'm making things weird?" I asked quietly. "You've been avoiding me all night." "I'm trying to help you," she said in a clipped tone. "This is a professional event. I just want you to come off well." "By insulting me to your boss?" Her eyes widened with irritation. "Oh my God, you're still hung up on that? You called me insecure." She shrugged. "I was just trying to lighten the mood. Ryan jokes a lot. You don't have to take everything so seriously." Something about the way she said it, dismissive, almost mocking, made all the noise in the room fade away. I saw her then with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. The woman standing in front of me wasn't protecting me or our marriage or my reputation. She was protecting an image of herself that didn't include me. "Let's go home," I said. "No," she replied instantly. "I'm not leaving yet." "Lauren," I said. "No. Don't make a scene." "I'm not making a scene." I paused. "But you are making choices." She crossed her arms. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done following you around while you pretend you don't know me." She looked taken aback, like she hadn't expected me to push back. For a brief second, I saw something that looked almost like fear, but then her expression hardened. "If you want to sulk, go ahead," she said coldly. "I'm staying." I nodded once. "Okay." And I walked out. Not angrily, not dramatically, just calmly. I stepped into the cold night air, letting the rain fall across my shoulders, and I realized I wasn't actually hurt anymore. I was disappointed. And disappointment sticks in a different way. It doesn't burn, it freezes. I drove home alone. Our house in the suburbs outside Seattle was quiet, familiar in a way the ballroom hadn't been. I changed into a sweatshirt, made myself tea, and sat on the couch, listening to the steady patter of rain against the windows. An hour later, the front door opened. Lauren walked in, damp hair plastered to her cheeks. She stared at me like I'd betrayed her somehow. "You just left." "Yes." "You embarrassed me." "No," I said. "You did that all by yourself." She opened her mouth, ready to fire back, but something stopped her. Maybe the calmness in my voice. Maybe the way I wasn't yelling. Maybe the way I wasn't begging. She lowered her gaze, suddenly unsure. I wanted to make a good impression." "At my expense?" She swallowed. "I don't know what's going on with you," I continued. "But if you need distance, if you need space, or if you need validation from someone else, say it. Don't humiliate me to get it." Lauren's lip trembled. She looks smaller somehow. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know, I said softly. But you did. Silence stretched between us. Heavy, honest. Then I stood up. I'm going to bed, I told her. We can talk tomorrow if you want to. I walked past her, not angry, just clear.